The next speaker here could not join us in person, but he definitely has a message that you would not want to miss. He is our own editor, Sam Wilson, who is going to guide us through the entire EIP process of documentation. We do have a video from him. I would request an AV team to maybe put it on. Yes, that's perfect. So it was supposed to be a workshop, but unfortunately we could not connect with him on Zoom right now. So instead he sent us a recorded video, which we are going to play right now. But if you guys have any question, I'm happy to take. Maybe I can respond as much as I can. Otherwise, I would invite everyone to join us on EIP Editing Office Hour. That happens almost every Tuesday at 1600 UTC, but people can know about it in advance by checking out the Ethereum/PM GitHub repository, as well as Ethereum calendar, Google Calendar, if you are subscribed to it already. Yeah, so can we go ahead with the video, please?
Hi, welcome to the EIP Summit at Devconnect. I'm one of the EIP ERC editors. My name is Sam Wilson, and I've been asked to talk a little bit about the EIP process, what makes a good EIP submission, and what authors can do to kind of make the editors' jobs easier. So I guess a little bit about me first. I work on the Steel team at the Ethereum Foundation. That's the specifications and testing in the Ethereum execution layer. We work on a Python reference implementation of the Ethereum protocol. And that gives us a pretty good overview of how Ethereum works and gets us really deep into the whole specification process. Yeah, so I guess let's talk about what makes a good EIP submission. If you're not familiar with the EIP process, the first thing you have to do is open a forum thread on the Fellowship of Ethereum Magicians forum. This kind of gives you a starting point to discuss with other authors and other people involved with the community about your proposal, whether that's EIP or ERC. This helps avoid duplicate proposals and kind of collects people's thoughts into a single proposal for a particular topic. We don't need, 300 different soulbound token standards. We need one soulbound token standard. And if that coordination is done before the proposals are written, there's more opportunity for collaboration. Once you've kind of reached consensus on a topic and how you want to implement it, then the next step is to open a pull request with kind of a draft of your proposal. It doesn't have to be complete. It doesn't have to be technically finished. It just needs to give a kind of overview of the solution that you're trying to propose, and that's good enough for a draft. Eventually, an EIP editor will take a look at your draft. I will provide some feedback, mostly on formatting and adherence to our rules. An important thing to note is that EIP editors do not generally provide technical feedback. We only provide formatting, grammar, that kind of thing. Technical feedback is the responsibility of the author themselves. They have to find the correct reviewers for a proposal. If it's a core proposal like an EIP, your reviewers are probably going to be core devs. If your proposal is an ERC, you need to find people in that particular subject areas. So for example, if you're writing a new RPC endpoint proposal, you're going to want to talk to wallet developers. You're going to want to talk to client library developers. Figuring all of that out is kind of the first step. Once the proposal is technically finished, then you can move that proposal into the review stage. Again, this is a pull request, and an EIP editor will take a look at your proposal. Once approved, your proposal will move into review. This is really where your proposal should be finished and technically complete. This is where you're going to be getting the majority of your feedback. Once you, as the author, are happy that your proposal has received enough feedback, you open a pull request to move it into last call. It's generally 2 weeks, and once that's complete, you can move into the final stage. Something to note that's very important that a lot of authors miss about EIPs and ERCs is that once a proposal goes final, it can no longer be edited. Any future changes have to be made in a new proposal with a new number. So it's very important to get your proposal correct before you move into final. We want the EIP and ERC repositories to kind of stand alone as an archive of the decisions made in Ethereum. That kind of has some implications that are kind of annoying for authors. And trust me, they're annoying for us editors as well. The biggest one is external links. So let's say, you're writing your proposal and you want to link to Vitalik's blog post on a topic, or you want to link to a company's press release about a new technology they're proposing. Unfortunately, we don't allow that because links change, these things disappear, and it's very important that we have a complete record of the decisions made in Ethereum. So we do provide some kind of tools to cope with this. The one we prefer, generally speaking, is if the content is under a compatible license, you can move it into your assets directory, and then you can link to it from there. That way the content lives forever alongside the EIP itself in our repository. If the license isn't compatible, which is unfortunately pretty common, we do have some exceptions for links that you're allowed to make. The big one is for academic papers. Anything that's assigned a DOI number, you can use as an external link. There are some examples in EIP1 of how to cite those things. There are also exceptions for RFCs, like IETF RFCs, U3 standards. Generally speaking, will allow any document source that has existed for a long time and is likely to continue to exist. But if you find something that isn't allowed, you can ask us to make an exception, and there's a good chance we'll do it. For more information on that, you can take a look at EIP 5757. Let's see, what are other common challenges that authors face? A big one that I always notice in proposals is the difference between rationale and motivation, or rather, I should say motivation then rationale. So motivation is where you kind of explain why your proposal is necessary, where the rationale explains the choices that you make in the proposal itself. So kind of a contrived example here. Let's say we're making a proposal to build a shed to store, let's say, an Ethereum server, right? We need this, the motivation answers the question, we need this shed to keep the rain off the server. We need this shed to provide physical security for the server. So the motivation answers the general questions of, why we need the shed. Whereas the rationale would answer questions like, we painted this shed red because that is the style of the time, or we decided to make the shed out of steel to provide increased security. So the rationale section provides information on why you made choices in the proposal itself. How the EIP process has evolved. That's an interesting one. So I've been an EIP editor for a couple of years now. I wasn't with the program when it started, but I've definitely been here a while. I've kind of seen the EIP process evolve, and I've kind of shepherded a little bit of the evolution. So earlier on in the process, it was very informal, very rough consensus based. And that definitely had its advantages. It was much more easy for editors to kind of come to decisions and difficulties. But over time, that became a bottleneck in our decision-making process. So we formalized our decision-making process into the EIP Editor's Handbook. The number escapes me at the moment, but if you're curious, you can go read that proposal about how we make our decisions, what criteria we use, what our overall goals are. It's kind of our manual of how to be an EIP editor, at least on the governance side. So that's probably the biggest evolution recently, is codifying our, I don't want to call them bylaws, but bylaws. How editors and authors can collaborate more efficiently. So the primary point of contact between editors and authors is through pull requests. I do also run office hours, as do some of the other editors. The schedule is available on the Ethereum/PM GitHub repository. Following our rules is probably the biggest thing. If you look at EIP1 and other proposals and just try to copy how they have successfully been merged, newer proposals for sure, don't be copying like ERC20. Yeah, so using EIP1, looking at other proposals, and just having everything ready before an EIP editor gets to your pull request is going to help us immensely. Another one is responding quickly to feedback. So if we leave a comment on your pull request, resolve it as fast as possible so it doesn't sit there. That'll help us out a lot, because we do have something like over 200 pull requests right now, and the faster we can get through them, the better. Any advice for new contributors or future editors? Future editors is a little bit easier to answer. You're going to want to talk to existing editors and figure out what their individual criteria are for adding a new editor. So personally, for me, I like to see a history of successful edits, successful reviews on pull requests. So if you're planning to become an editor, start leaving useful feedback on other people's pull requests, and that'll be super helpful for us and demonstrate your ability as an editor. And another one here is just alignment with Ethereum in general. So we want to see that you believe in decentralization, credible neutrality, and believe in Ethereum itself, that there's a reason to build this platform and that you're passionate about it. And that's probably the biggest criteria that I have personally for becoming an editor, is just being passionate about Ethereum. It's also important to note that you don't need a hugely technical background to be an editor. Most of our job is reviewing grammar, spelling, and adherence to content rules. And that's intentional so that we can get more people involved in the EIP editing process. As for new contributors to the repository, that depends on what type of contributor you are. If you're a software developer, there's a rewrite project that I've been putting off for a year now. I would love to get some help on that. It's written in Rust. So if you're a Rust developer and you want to get involved, hit me up. I could definitely use the help. If you're, more on the product side or on the, just enthusiast side, just providing useful feedback to other people is the biggest thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Anyways, yeah, so thanks for coming to the EIP Summit. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Sam. Sam is one of the most active editors we have around, and he always shows up for office hour. You could also talk to him outside the office hour. You can join our Discord, the ECH Discord, where there is a dedicated channel for EIP editors. And yeah, of course, you can share questions. Sam did mention about the process in general, and he mentioned about the subject matter expertise. Yes, we are looking for people who can be a subject matter expertise for either on protocol side or on the application side. If you are interested, we do run a program which is to onboard EIP reviewers. So please reach out to us, and we would be happy to include you and make you a participant of the program that we are trying to run over here. Earlier this morning, we also noticed a presentation by Dan and Rahul where he shares the idea of future process improvement, how we can have reviewers assigned, technical reviewers assigned for maybe for core proposals. I don't know if that was intending for application side as well or not, but yes, that is still a dream. I believe it is possible. We will have to look into the process, and we will need more participants to help out with that process. So if you have any expertise, any interest in helping out with making Ethereum standards, please reach out to us. Last but least, Sam did mention about the support that we are looking. So basically, we do have multiple bots which are running on Ethereum /EIPs and ERC's repository, and we are looking to improve the bot in order to minimize human intervention to make the proposal move forward. If you have expertise with Rust bot or any other bot that we are currently running on Ethereum/EIP GitHub repository, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to introduce you to the team and be very, very thankful to you for helping us with the bot which can help us improve our process.